Hey, this week on the Friday Forge, we're gonna make these patches and put them on hats. We're gonna show you how to do that. Not these patches specifically, but one we're gonna make and design for a pest control company.
Let me fly towards my hands, towards my hands.
So for our materials, we've got this chunk of leather. Just got it from Michael's. The last one that we tried, we got it from Tandy Leather, which is a local shop, and it worked out really nice. This looks almost exactly the same. It's just natural veg tan leather, and we're gonna use this stain, chestnut, and this stuff is pretty easy. It's water-based, so it's super easy to clean up, and you can water it down. So that if you want a lighter stain, you can do that. If you don't water it down at all, it gets pretty dark. So I want to try to do a little bit darker this time. So I might just water it down just by a little bit. Also got gloves, it'll stain your hands. And I'm gonna use just a regular old paper towel to buff it in and to get it to soak into the leather. All right, so for today, I'm just gonna mix it 1-to-1 with water, and hopefully that gives us a darker color than I did before. I think I did 3-to-1 last time. So all you do in terms of the technique is dip a paper towel or a rag, whatever, lint-free, in your stain, and then you just buff it around. And you do have to kind of be quicker with it, because if you hit one spot multiple times with the stain, it will get darker in that spot. So you want to get an even coverage everywhere in one pass if you can. You can always do more passes if you want it darker after it dries. So we'll see, we'll go from there. Stuff's so freaky. Let's go more than that.
Smells nice.
Yeah, you like that smell? The viscosity doesn't really matter. It's mainly how dark you want it. But you do want to make sure that it's combined with the water, so it's one uniform thickness. So I'll mix it for a while. And to be honest, this stuff goes a long way. Like, this isn't that much, but it's super gonna cover this, probably with some extra. So with this stuff, it says to rub it all over and then let it dry and then buff off the excess. One thing that I really like, and that they told me down at the leather shop where I got this is stain, it's not dye. And what that does is it highlights the, I guess you could say the, I don't know, the weird textures in the leather. You can see that the stain has gone into the crevices and the cracks and things that was part of the animal's skin. And that's one of the beauties of working with leather is, and maybe a less desirable trait, if you want to think of it that way, is that leather, it's gonna be inconsistent. So we're gonna make patches out of this, and there's gonna be a patch here that's gonna be super totally different from a patch over here. But it's also one thing that's really awesome about it because every single piece is completely unique. So we're gonna wait for this to dry and then we'll buff it out. And then once that's done, then we'll take it to the laser and we'll cut out our design. It came out a little lighter than we originally wanted. This is more close to how we did it the first time. And the client wanted it to be a little bit darker this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and try doing another coat on it and we'll see how it comes out. All right. We're gonna etch some cutting boards later. All right, so it's dried, it's darker, it's a little more orange. If you ask my wife, she doesn't like the orange, but I think it'll look good. We got this big roll of masking and we'll just put this on the top. This helps when the laser is etching and cutting, the burn marks don't get on around your leather. So it makes it nice and crisp and clean. You really want to make sure the masking is pressed down really well because the laser, once it cuts, especially if there's small details, it will kind of curl up the masking and you'll get those burn marks anyway. So making sure that it's pressed down really firmly is super important. Once you got them all lasered out, now we're just using these awesome leather acrylic paints to paint the bug. My wife is much better at painting than I am, so she's doing it. So, my wife Jen finished up painting all these. So the next step is to peel the masking off, and then after that we'll do a seal coat on it. The next step is to put a finish on this. And what I've done in the past, the last time that I did this, was I used a leather finish that I got from the leather store, Tandy Leather, and it worked really well to finish it, but I noticed that it left kind of a filmy thing. It kind of clouded the leather a little bit, and especially in the dark spots, it was just a little bit cloudy. It still looked good, but I think I would like for it to be completely clear if we can. And so I'm gonna try using this stuff. It's Acrylic Finisher from Angelus, and it's the same brand as the leather paints that we used to paint the green on here. And I'm hoping that it'll give us that nice clear finish. And this time
as opposed to rubbing it on, which is what I did with the last finisher that I used, I'm gonna try using the spray gun. It's just an air spray gun, connects to your air compressor. If you have an airbrush, that would definitely apply better to this scenario. I don't have one, and this was super cheap at Harbor Freight. So we're gonna give this a try, see if it'll give us that nice, even, clear finish, and we'll go from there. Sprayed them with the sealer. They've dried, and I really super like the way that they turned out. I don't know if you can see the sheen, but it's got a really nice satin sheen on it, and it's just really smooth. No cloudy bits, especially over the dark parts. It just like clarified it and made it look really good. So the next step is to put it on the hat. And the way that I am doing that is I'm using contact cement. The brand I'm using is Barge. It's pretty common, I think, and it holds super well. The issue that I ran into, or just the problem that I thought of when I first was doing this, was how do I put it both on the back of this and on the hat without like screwing up the hat part, because the way that contact cement works is you put it on both surfaces and then you wait for it to dry about 15 to 20 minutes, or just wait until it's tacky. You can kind of feel it. It's not liquidy, it's kind of sticky when you touch it. And then once it's dried, you put it together and that stuff doesn't move. You do need to let it cure for, I think it says 24 hours to be like 100% sure that it's stuck on there, but like pretty much as soon as you put contact on it, press on it, it's stuck. So you have to be really sure about your placement of the patch when you do that. Anyway, so the way that I got around, or the way that I solved this problem, was we have this Silhouette machine. It's the Cameo 3, I think. My wife's been doing stuff with this for a long time. But what I do basically is cut a template out of vinyl, and it's just regular old sticky vinyl. I cut a template that's the exact shape of this, and I put it on the hat, and then I use that to keep my Barge, my contact cement, within those boundaries. And that way, when I put it on, it's perfect. You can't see any contact cement around the edges, but you also can be sure that it's stuck all around the edges. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So I've got my Barge contact cement here. I've got a cheap little chip brush for painting it on, and I've got my stencils that I just cut on the Silhouette over there. If you don't have a Silhouette, you could also, I'm sure, I haven't tried it, it would be a lot more work, but you could put tape down on something and trace it, trace your patch, and then use that, you know, cut that out and use that as a stencil on your hat if you need to. This is just a lot more convenient, so which is why I did it. So I'm gonna put this on the hat, the stencil on the hat, put Barge on that. I'm gonna tape these down, face down to my newspaper, put some Barge on the back of that, let it dry, and then stick them on the hats. We'll see how it goes. Well, that's it for this video. This is our first tutorial that we've done. So if anything's unclear or you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and we'll try our best to answer them. Also, like and subscribe, so maybe one day we could make money. Thank you. Hope you're happy, Greg. Giving you lots of footage. We're gonna have to go through like 10 hours of footage.